Hello everyone, this is Michelle Bynan. I'd like to welcome you to MG100, Introduction to Business at DeSales University. This class is a survey class. Basically, it's going to touch on many things that are involved in a business, being an entrepreneur. It takes the class through that exercise of how to think like a business person to try to give you insight into all the various components of running a business. So we're going to start with ideas, do marketing, we'll do some insight into how to promote a business, some considerations for management, some considerations for how to hire your personnel, operations. So it's going to touch on a little bit of everything that is within scope of how to have a business. We are an asynchronous class, which means we do not have a set meeting time. Most of the class will be conducted in Blackboard. I will be producing these types of videos on an end-of-week basis. I do the class in a flip format, which means you have to do the reading, some of the exercises, and then at the end of the week, I talk about what you should have learned this week. So don't rely upon initial informational videos to teach you. This is a class that involves you being an active learner. Just to set the record straight, the framework of being an online student is one where you should be spending probably about 8 to 12 hours per week in the classroom situation. This is to take place of a few things. One, it takes place of your 3 hours a week in instruction time where you would traditionally be in a class. So that should be time spent reading, looking at your videos and things like that. Then you'll have your homework assignments, your case study responses, and your project work. So make sure that you've cut out that type of time in your week. If you're spending less than 7-8 hours a week, you're probably not giving enough time to the class. Considering that this is a very condensed class, we are doing a 15-week class in 6 weeks. This is basically the amount of time that you need to be spending in this framework to have any absorption of the content. So for those of you who are intent is to be business majors, please do spend the time and get the coursework under your belt. The book's a good book. It gives a lot of good information. It highlights those things in bold in terms of terminology that you should know if you're going to continue, like I said, in your business career. It does a high-level wrap-up at the end of each chapter. So it does give you insight into what you should have had exposure to with regard to the content of that chapter. We do cover most of the book. We skip one chapter, chapter 12, and we also do not go into the finance classes, the finance chapters at the end. There's just not enough time in the class to cover those. So I'll reference them. There are some things that you should know so that when you go to the other business classes along the way, you make sure you have that under your belt. It's a good book to probably keep if you're going to stay, like I said, in the business framework as a reference source for some information. Regarding the class, you should be checking in 3 to 5 times a week minimally, if not every day, just to make sure that you're on top of your discussion boards, that you have posted your information. Don't try to do it all in one sitting. That's not giving value to your exercise. Make sure that you check back and you go into the discussion forums. They replace the classroom experience. So in those particular cases, I have framed out specific questions that would have been done in a classroom situation. And for that experience, I want you to put in a substantive original posting. And what I mean by that is about 100 words, maybe more. If you do external sources, make sure that you use citations properly. And then in your responses, try to have them at least be 50 words or more. So things like I agree, or what Tom said, or whatever the case may be, that's not a good enough answer. So just make sure that you do give some weight and some meat to these exercises. From prior times that I've taught this class, I got a little bit of insight into the fact that when we hit the 20 student marker, it's just too much information for students to keep track of with regard to reading other people's posts. And that is part of your exercise. Make sure you read what your classmates say. In some cases, they'll have some different insights from experience that you've had in your career or your exposures. So make sure you do that. So I've broken the class into 2 groups. Just make sure that you know which group that you're in, and then focus on the insights. You can, of course, read the other material and even answer posts or whatever the case may be in the other group. But I'm just trying to do that to try to ease your reading burden. With regards to the actual class, make sure you go to the Start Here section on Blackboard. That'll give you some high-level information about what goes on in the class, what some expectations are, and make sure you read the syllabus. If you have any questions regarding the syllabus, please feel free to contact me, either by email. I do check it religiously every day, and I'll get back to you almost immediately. As soon as I read it, I respond. So there's a lot of information in there. Okay, the lifeblood of the class is the weekly units. Make sure you take a look at the weekly units for each week. I will outline all of the chapters that need to be read. That's where you'll find your assignments for the week and any additional content that I would like to have you review. So sometimes there'll be videos, sometimes there'll be extra readings, sometimes they'll be pertinent to the business of what's going on in the class at that time. Generally speaking, try to post your posts by midweek. I usually put a date on there, which is a Wednesday or Thursday, because if other people are waiting for class mates to comment so that they can do the second part of their assignment, which would be their responses, everybody needs to be considerate of each other and make sure that you post early enough in the cycle to ensure that there's time for responses. I will have next week's content posted by Wednesday of this week, usually end of day. On Wednesday, you'll get the postings for the next week's classes and work, so you get a little bit of time to work ahead if you can have the need to do that. And my plan is to, by the end of week 3, is to have the rest of the weeks loaded. I don't necessarily encourage people to work ahead too much, because what we have found is that you're just working too rapidly unless you have no employment or have yourself situated that you're going to be spending 25 hours a week just knocking this out. Then it's probably not the best approach. A lot of information is gained and insight from your activity, and you really do need to come back and check the discussion boards for classroom interaction. With regards to the assessment, there's multiple opportunities for me to assess your work. One is the discussion forum and the homework assignments. They are used in a way for me to capture your classroom participation and your attendance. So make sure you do engage in those regularly. There'll be a midterm and a final. And then we'll also have, as the crux and the actual final deliverable of this class, is the business plan. So by the end of week 2, I'll ask for some ideas for what you want to do for your business plan. And basically, just post it on the board. I'll have a discussion forum set up for that, and I'll respond to each student with an approval or maybe some clarifications about what you want your business to be. And this is up to you. This can be something that you have an interest in, just in terms of a casual interest, experience you've had, that you would like to see a situation made better, perhaps. Or if you are thinking about being an entrepreneur, then it can be an actual business case that you want to present. So the framework is at the end of the class, your last assignment will be to produce a business plan. And this business plan will have a specific format. I'll give you that information. It's actually in your book. The pages are noted when we get to that section. Actually, it might be in the syllabus, the actual pages that are the business plan is on, and then it should contain specific components, and we'll review that and have that be very easy for you to proceed through. It's usually about, I'd say, 10, 12, 15 pages of business planning information on there. So what I'll do is I'll put forth various suggestions along the way that you should be thinking about this at this point. You should be at this point in your business plan by the end of week 3, 4, 5, so that you're not waiting until the last minute to produce a work product. I communicate to the class via announcements, so look for those, and I generally back those up with email. So just make sure that you check those frequently. If more than one student asks a question, then I usually put some sort of announcement. I also use those for clarifiers along the way. If I see that there's a little bit of slippage in class content or whatever the case may be, I'll reinforce that through some announcements. I do a weekly, like I said, a weekly recap, and basically it's a summary of what you should have learned this week. So I said, make sure you do your readings, make sure that you stay on top of it. This is an aggressive time frame. From the dean's office herself, she has stated to us who are teaching in these compressed schedules that there's no reduction in content. There might be the reduction in work, but there's no reduction in content. And I can tell you from doing this now, this is my 3rd summer in a row teaching this class, that I have compressed the content probably as much as I can. And I've also compressed the assignments as much as I can so that it still brings you value. So good luck. I look forward to this class. It's always a fun class. It's fun reading everybody's business plans. There's a lot of information, like I said, a lot of considerations to what goes on in the business framework. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email at any time. If it is a class level information that you think that you're not the only one who needs to know this, there is a general discussion board out there. It's the first discussion board in the list. And I engage in that freely. So just make sure you consider any path possible. I am located in Tampa, so I'm in the same time zone as you all. I just relocated here last year from Lansdale, where I taught at both the Lansdale and the Allentown campus. So I miss the area a little bit, but not the weather, that's for sure. So I wish, like I said, I wish you luck in the class, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks so much, and get reading. Take care. Bye-bye.